Hi, welcome to a joint venture and co show, coming to you live the first Wednesday of each month. Thanks for joining and or watching our replay.
We're going to be talking about the intersection of cannabis and wellness so that you and your family can feel better now.
This show offers educational resources and stigma-free support for people, including veterans and their families, as we take you on a deeper dive into a specific topic around plant medicine and wellness.
We're a community who listen and learn from others' wellness journey, including veterans and their families who are looking for alternatives not yet available through the VA healthcare system.
And I'm Ann Brum, and I help brands and social initiatives achieve their highest impact and increase their bottom line as the founder and CEO of Joint Venture & Co., a New England-based growth development agency with about 15 years in wellness, cannabis, and brand development.
I'm Stephen Mandilli. I served 8 years in the Massachusetts Army National Guard and deployed to Iraq. I continue to serve my communities in Massachusetts as an elected official, a spokesperson for the Yes on 4 campaign, a consultant in the cannabis industry, and as an advocate with members of Congress for equitable access for wellness for veterans.
And you are tuning into a Joint Venture & Co. show here on Pro Cannabis Media. Let's get into it. Hi, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. I am without my co-host this evening, Mr. Stephen Mandilli. He is unavailable to join us. He sends his regards. We are thinking about him. Be sure to check in with us next month in November, where we will be focusing on some of our partners here, Cannabis Patient Care, and talking about their veteran event, live stream event that they'll be having. So stay tuned for more of that. Before we get into this, please consider to like, subscribe, share, and or comment anywhere where you're watching and or listening from, and even on the replay. So I want to go ahead and get right into the show this evening. Tonight's guests are two veteran entrepreneurs, Ellen Brown, founder of Sensemilla Seminars, an educational leader in the cannabis and hemp industry. Her passion for teaching stems from being an educator during her service in the United States Air Force. Ms. Brown is the recipient of the inaugural New England Cannabis Business Leader of the Year Award, as well as other accolades. Her unparalleled firsthand industry experience has made her company renowned for its experience and professionalism. Sensemilla Seminars is one of the first companies to become an accredited Massachusetts responsible vendor trainer. We are also joined this evening by Phillip Smith, co-founder of Freshly Baked Company, a product manufacturer and the first adult use delivery operator on the east of Mississippi. So huge on that. Founded in 2018 by Phillip himself, and as well as his partner, Jenny Roseman, and who also happen to be disabled veterans. And they found cannabis to be an effective way of managing their PTSD associated with their service to our country. Phillip is an Iraq combat Marine, and Jenny was a 9/11 first responder at the Pentagon while in the Air Force. Motivated by their experience with cannabis, they aspired to start a company that could help others who suffer from PTSD. Thank you both for joining. Really appreciate being here and sharing your story, and hoping to really provide some great information for folks who are listening, both veterans, veteran family and friends, or veteran community of allies. So thank you both for being here.
Thank you, man. Yeah, it's good to be here.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah. For everyone, this is a pretty Massachusetts-centric show. We're all based in Mass. I think I live about 20 minutes away from Phillip's shop in Taunton, Mass, as I'm in Mansfield. Ellen, where are you out of?
I'm in Cape Cod. I'm not far. I'm less than an hour away for sure.
Yeah, so we're all within this like county of probably throwing, Tom Brady's football. Should I say that? As far as he still is like crushing it, but yeah. So this is a very Massachusetts-centric show. I am not a veteran myself. However, my father and uncles served in their native country of Portugal, And I've have nothing but the utmost love and respect for those who are of service for any country and especially of our own. So I'm going to do the corny but respectful thing of thanking you both for your service to our country and our freedom. So thank you.
Thank you, Ann. That's kind of you.
You're welcome. So shall we do ladies first? Okay. Ellen, can you tell us and our viewers about your journey as a business owner and the origins of Sensemilla Seminars to become a responsible vendor trainer in Massachusetts?
Absolutely. I like to say with my business, it started from concept to accreditation. So especially with, having a background from the Air Force in education and teaching. So what I did in the United States Air Force, my job was nutrition. So if you failed your PT test, you came and you saw me. So I would do one-on-one patient counselings as well as teach classes of 30 to 60 people on different aspects of nutritional care, whether it was, prenatal care or something like that. So I learned how to teach classes, create curriculum, do one-on-one patient counselings, learn more about the human body and the importance of nutrition. So when I was done with my service, I moved home to Massachusetts in 2009, and we didn't have a medical program, and we didn't have recreational, wasn't even a thing yet. It wasn't even a real blip on the radar. So I had moved home, and I, just from being in service for a few years, I did not deploy, but just, the environment and then adapting back to civilian life, it was just a little bit stressful. So my friends had all gone off to college during this time. So when I got back, they were using cannabis. So one of my friends, I was with him, we were in a safe space, and I started using some cannabis, and I just found that it was very helpful for me, and that it helped me be mindful in the moment. It helped me relax. It helped me think differently. And I thought, oh, this is how I want to live my life. So I started working 2 jobs, and I saved up, and I moved out to Humboldt County because I had read about it in High Times magazine. Please remember, this is 2009. So it was a lot different then. The industry was very different then. There were only a handful of states that had a medical program. So I moved out before the green rush was even a term that could be coined. So with that in mind, I moved out, and I started passing out my resume at an event, and all it said was I trim cannabis and I read High Times magazine. And the person I started talking with said, I can teach everything, but I can't teach customer service. So I started as a trimmer, and then I worked my way up, and I became a bud tender, and then I became the manager, and then they needed help in the grow room. So I started sweeping the floors, and then eventually I became the lead cultivator, and I was working almost every different aspect of that facility, from delivery in Northern California, all of Shasta County, all of Butte County. And this was 2010. So I had my MapQuest directions and hope. So with that in mind, I always say, especially with you doing delivery, you can appreciate that what kept me safe and why I never had an incident or a situation wasn't dumb luck. It was preparation and situational awareness. So we can always see where our military background can come and help us later. And I like to say to people, if you give me an opportunity, I'll give you a reason to give you another opportunity. Fast forward 2012, I moved home to Massachusetts, and I started taking the firsthand experience I had in California, and then I merged it with my ability to create curriculum from my Air Force background, and Sensemilla Seminars was born. And I have spent the better part of over a decade as an advocate for cannabis reform and trying to teach people how to be their own best advocates. And what's wonderful is my students go on to create impactful legislation, or they'll find themselves in different facets of the industry. So it's really wonderful, as a just anybody in the industry, especially being a teacher, when you're able to see your students go off and flourish, especially in an emerging industry where they're able to create pathways of success for themselves and success for others. And I also think that's something that carries over from the military is, taking the next person behind you or taking people with you and making sure, we don't leave anybody behind, including, veterans, minorities. We want this to be the most inclusive industry possible, and we have the ability to create that. So that's kind of the origin of Sensemilla, love of education, just, you get to do what I love every day. So that's a really beautiful thing. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and it's not just limited to the THC plant. You also have experience in the hemp field, hemp space as well. And I just want us to be inclusive of that, and for the viewers and the listeners to also consider that there is a lot of opportunity within that field that isn't as highly regulated when it comes to a state THC program, but there's a lot of opportunity in the hemp field, in the hemp space, for veterans to participate and transfer those skill sets that they learn in their service as well.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. And thank you for mentioning that. I've worked with hemp farms across the United States as well as in Canada with helping them secure their license, helping them figure out what cultivars or strains, AKA they want to cultivate in order to have a successful season, and really knowing what their ROI is going to be, what their return on investment is going to be for the plant that they, for the cultivar that they plant, because you can grow hemp for three primary reasons, either for the grain, for the fiber, or for the CBD. So just thinking about, the difference, especially when it comes to the end result of what you're going to be able to do, and then the amount you're going to be able to make per acre, it's important to think about. So I definitely think things where service can come in handy is that preparation, planning, thinking about perpetual harvest, thinking about every aspect. Attention to detail is very important. I recently heard somebody say this. I was complimenting their cultivation space, and they said, well, I'm a cleaner first. And I was like, that's so true. Before you're a cultivator, you're a cleaner. If you don't have a clean space, you don't have anything. So creating a foundation of knowledge, I think, is always going to be important. So I appreciate that. And versatility of the plant can never be, underemphasized. So there is so many things we can do. We only have an hour, and I got all day. So
I know, seriously, the plant is so, out of any herb I've worked with, this is probably the most versatile plant from an agricultural perspective to a medicine and so much more. So I agree. And just on the note, so you come back in 2012 or around between 2010 and 2012 and started Sensemilla, and right, 2012?
Yes. So 2012, I came home, and I got home in July because I want to be sure to be home in November to vote yes on question 3, which was the medical program. So I vote yes on question 3, and I voted yes on question 4.
Excellent.
So this is what democracy looks like, especially us getting to be licensed now in this industry.
And now, like, you're able to set these operators up in Massachusetts to be, yes, compliant, but also like be aware of what they're doing, the plant that they're working with, all of that it takes to be a good caretaker of making sure from seed to sale, it's being nurtured and honored and respected. So good on you with that. I love that. And on the side note for everyone, Ellen and I met indirectly while we were at the State House pre-COVID in last January for a bill that our colleague Stephen had put together and was working with local legislators to expand the medical program here in Massachusetts by adding a couple of qualifying conditions, as well as streamlining veterans to become vetted patients in the Massachusetts medical cannabis program. So in many ways, it's great for us to finally be able to continue on a path of advocating, sharing, informing, and also that pot and policy really has a place, and this plant really touches on so many aspects, and to make things systemically and sustainably available, it does kind of have to start at a legislative level for not just this generation, but generations to come. So policy does have its place. It just is a 13-step long process here in Massachusetts, but We wouldn't be here without with a medical program or an adult use program or decriminalizing it in 2008 in Massachusetts without policy and without advocates. So be informed, go to your local town hall meetings, know what's going on regionally, know what's going on at state level, and also know what's going on down in DC, like our colleague Stephen has already gone down to Congress and working with the IAVA and advocating for veterans to have the access and choice to this amazing plant. So I want to just like drop that little fun seed there. So yeah, so it's great to connect with you and to be able to advocate. And for folks that haven't, like, just Google Ellen Brown or Sensemilla Seminars, find out all sorts of public speaking she's been able to do, very involved and informing, educating from, yes, veterans, but also from women in hemp, in THC, as operators all over the place. So please consider on tuning in, learning more, and supporting Ellen's work. So just wanted to throw some your way.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. And we're a community, so it's about all of us, shouting each other out and making sure, all boats rise with the tide. And as you continue to go, especially in an industry that's so consumer driven, making sure that people know what are the brands that we can trust and making sure that they go to those operators and these reputable sources for information. So thank you for the opportunity. And I'm looking forward to learning more about our guy, Phil, too.
All right, that's going to bring us to our PSA that our friend Dan on the back end is going to go ahead and share. We'll be right back after this message.
Hello, and thank you again for tuning into the Joint Venture & Co. show. We would like to remind everyone that they are not alone, and there are resources available for you or someone you know who is in crisis. Below are both the Veteran Crisis Hotline number and the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. Jot them down, take a screenshot, and share it with your friends. It's confidential, available 24/7, and can connect you with people who care and want to help you get through these tough times. You matter, and please never give up.
Hey there, welcome. Please make sure that you share this episode with your family, friends, or network of military friends and family so that they can also learn about this cannabis plant and other various wellness options that we'll be exploring in each episode. So thank you again for joining us this evening. If you're just tuning in, we are sitting down with both Phillip Smith, a Freshly Baked in Massachusetts, as well as Ellen Brown, a Sensemilla Seminars, also based in Massachusetts. So we just heard a bit about Ellen and her story and what brought her to being a professional in this space and serving the hemp and the cannabis plant altogether, as well as in Massachusetts. And we would like to go ahead and bring in our other guest, Mr. Phillip Smith here, Freshly Baked. And it's definitely more than a product manufacturer, definitely more than a micro business, definitely more than an adult use delivery operator. This is a brand who cares about what they do, who they do it with, and who they serve. And just so you know, micro business allows the delivery of adult use deliveries, as well as for regulated cannabis products that are produced at their location and delivered directly to consumers. And it's compliant, and it was established by our regulatory requirements for retail sales as it relates to delivery, as well as hopefully maybe cultivation might be coming around, which is really exciting. Hopefully. So Phillip, could you please share what was the most attractive aspect of the micro business license type and how delivery is working so far for you all?
Yeah, sure. Well, I'll just start by just quickly introducing myself again.
Please, yes.
Phillip Smith, executive chairman of Freshly Baked Company, also a co-founder. My co-founder, Jenny Roseman, isn't with us tonight, but Jenny is an Air Force medic, 9/11 first responder at the Pentagon. I was in the Iraq War in 2003. I'm service connected with the Marine Corps. And Jenny and I met shortly before 2018, and we bonded on a lot of things, but one of those things was cannabis and how it was helping us. And, I got out in 2004, and I've had my journeys. I've had my up and downs throughout the years. I think like all veterans can relate to. I had good years, I've had bad years. When I, embraced cannabis as a medicine, and I had enjoyed it recreationally throughout the years, but when I embraced it as a medicine, that's when it kind of really changed my life. And that's something that Jenny experienced as well. So, shortly around that time, they were, coming out with the license, and, we started talking about it, and we started making some gummies for ourselves. Our recipe now is tweaked a little bit. It's way better than the original was, because we have chefs in there now, but it's not far from that original recipe that Jenny and I made in the kitchen for ourselves to try and sleep at night. And that's honestly the truth. We started.
What year was that? Because
that was 2018.
Okay, so making the gummy recipes, finding relief, and you're like, we got something here.
Right, we got something here. So we had a woman next door that was an older woman that couldn't sleep at night, and we were giving them to her, and we were like, you know what? Maybe people really like these things. So it was like, we need to test the market. So we did. We knew some folks, and we had them like in the Boston area for a bit, and the Providence area for a bit, friends and family, and people really loved them. So we were like, all right, maybe we got something here. So we decided to go after the license, and the micro was attractive because one, the barriers to entry right now, was capital. So anything that can keep the capital requirements down is good. So the micro was already lower there. As a social equity applicant, I got half off on those fees, so that helped. But we looked at the micro as like we call it the legacy license, because I feel like if you're at home and you're growing in the basement, you're making edibles, you go into your friend's house, you're smoking, you're bringing some bud over, like that's everything there. That is the micro license, essentially. Like no one says you have to be, max out at a tier 1, which is 5,000 square feet, or max out the manufacturing, which is 2,000 pounds of flower or its dry weight equivalent. I mean, you could literally have 100 square foot grow. You could be making some edibles. Like you could be doing some delivery. Like it could be very small. It doesn't have to be huge. So we figured, going that route would be good. And then, when we were thinking about addressing the municipality side, we said, if we come in, we don't want to look scary. We want to be honest on who we were. And the honest truth was, it was Jenny and I making gummies in the kitchen. And then when we first launched, it still was us. We just hit batch 100 now. We're in almost 60 dispensaries. But at first, thank you. At first, it was just Jenny and I in that kitchen with my director of operations, my nephew, and we were doing everything. Like they weren't even getting paid. Like we just started getting paid. Like it was all just like trying to get it off the ground. So
that's amazing. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. So first home delivery, recreational home delivery company on the East Coast. Based around social equity, thank you. Manufacturing, like I said, we're in over 60, close to 60 dispensaries now. We have 20 plus employees. We have 2 shifts. I mean, things are going well, but the mission from the beginning was access, and that was to bring access to folks, especially veterans, because it's really touched us close, and we figured that the more we tell our story, the more that we can share about our journey, and like I said, we both suffer from PTSD, and I've had my ups and downs. I mean, I'm not going to lie to you even now. I mean, there's still days that I don't want to get out of bed. There was years when I almost couldn't get out of bed. So I'm in a good place now, but it doesn't go away. The struggle is still there, and cannabis helps me cope. And the VA therapy was excellent. I recommend any veteran getting out, whether you think you need it or not, to go to therapy. I think it really helps. It took me 6 to 7 years of being a tough guy, not wanting to admit to myself that I needed help, and it was the best thing I ever did. And I always preach that to anyone now.
Wow, that's amazing.
The medications weren't great for me. And I know a lot of veterans, they do work, but they weren't that great for me, but the cannabis was. So, reiterating some of the points that Ellen brought up, that stick-to-itiveness, that drive that we get in the military, never wanting to stop getting the job done is kind of how you get to this point. I mean, there've been plenty of times where we definitely were like, this is almost impossible. Like, can we even get to the end here? But, keep going, leading from the front, culture is super important at Freshly Baked. We really take care of our folks. We're really about people before profits. We believe that, if you're happy to come to work, then that's going to just help the company's longevity. And we like to lead from the front. Like I said, we were making those gummies at first. So,
Right.
We're not in there as much now. We have people in there. But, when we go in there now, it's like, Phil and Jenny are back. Like, it's a good thing. Like, we've worked with a lot of these people, and they're way better than we are. Don't get me wrong. We need them. But it helps to know what your folks are doing and to understand, because a lot of this work isn't easy. We try to pay well, but it's not easy. And just appreciating your folks. We had people that came to us from MSOs that hadn't taken a break in 2 years.
Yeah, MSOs, by the way, for everyone who might not know what that acronym stands for, is multi-state operators, cannabis operators.
Right, more of the bigger companies. So as a craft company, we wanted to make sure that we focused on LGBTQ+, veterans, females, like hiring. That was important to us. The culture, how we treat our people. And so far, I feel like it served us well. So, things are going okay for us right now.
Oh, that's amazing. Congratulations. And do you feel, and I just want to acknowledge some comments here on YouTube. We have Jeff Palmer out of Virginia saying hello, Britt Smith, who is the podcaster for Different Leaf Podcast. I think all of us have maybe been interviewed on that. So holler at Different Leaf and to Miss Britt, as well as Ben White of Dubside Photography. He's saying, what's up? He's like, he said, some of my fave peeps right there. Tim Sears says, happy workers make good workers. And I'd have to agree, like, you can really taste the goodness when it's, been touched by people who sincerely feel really good about what they're doing. And I can, as someone who started in one of the second open medical dispensaries in Massachusetts, it meant everything to be present with the patients at the front lines and truly embody the impact that this plant has, and conveying that from the patient's experience from the time of purchase, from the time of making their decision on what they wanted to purchase, then to actually purchasing and then coming and having that sacred moment with themselves when it came to their experience with the product. So big fan. I love, I definitely think we're moving in the culture, or more companies are being held accountable for the sort of culture and environment that they're working in. And there's just no room to be like a dick in an operation when you're creating this unbelievable potential of a life-changing product. Like, it could truly be unbelievable. We have Beach Lover that also says, I love their chocolate bar. So you're getting some major accolades here. And very excited that Phillip, can you also share a little bit about your experience in the Marines and how that may have transferred into being a co-founder and an operator, to a gummy maker, to a culture, extraordinaire? What are some of those things, the good and the not so cute, that has, in retrospect, offering this sort of development or continuum of development for you as a leader?
Sure. I think, and I've been asked this question a few times now, I think the greatest asset I brought out of the Marine Corps was leadership. I think, if you're a leader, you're a leader. I've been through a lot of different ventures before I got here. Throughout the years, I started a baby company with a product that was an invention that I brought to market. It was in 30 stores around the country. I've sourced everything locally. I started a construction company with my dad still, which runs. I've been there. Like I said, I've had my good years and I've had my bad. I've been up and down. You never know. So I think the one thing that I always have had, though, was a leadership quality. And I think in the Marine Corps, I remember when I became an NCO and a corporal, it was hard for me to direct folks that I had come up with, having friends, and you might pass them in rank. And how do you deal with them? How do you tell someone what to do? How do you do it tactfully? How do you get people to believe in what you're saying? And I think that's one thing that I took from the Marine Corps. Some of those hard lessons, some of those folks that I had to chew out that were friends, but then afterwards be like on the side, hey, this is why that had to happen, because like there's a bigger picture here, and them understanding that, and then me getting to them understand, like, if you're my friend, if you care about what I'm doing and my mission, then I shouldn't even have to ask you. You should be asking me how to help. And I think that's the culture that I bring to folks, whether it's cannabis and no matter what, folks want to be led. Most folks want to be led. So I think at Freshly Baked, it's like a nurturing. Like in the in the military, you lead by necessity. You have people, like, they're your people. You train them up. Like, I think in the corporate world, like, we have a lot of turnover. People come in, they don't fit the bill, and then they get thrown away. We don't want to do that here. So we want to help folks. We want to raise folks up. So I think that leadership, bringing folks together, teaching other folks how to lead too and how to delegate. It's something that we're doing right now at Freshly Baked. So I think that aspect of business is super important. I think it creates a culture of trust and understanding and transparency. There are tough conversations that need to be had, and a lot of us can't have them. I don't have any problem in having a tough conversation. I'm very blunt. I can be very direct, but I am thoughtful though with my approach. Like, I am thoughtful, and I think that's important. I think people can get that from me, at least the folks that I've been leading. So
I love it. You're like a considerate, for as much training that you've had, and not to come and to be graceful about your quality of inviting folks to participate in your vision of what both you and Jenny have for the company. And that you're right, it all leads to a bigger mission here. So
sure, and that's helped us raise money. Jenny and I, we are all self-funded. I don't have a lot of money. Like I said, we're service-connected veterans, but we went to kitchen table after kitchen table for months, pitching people, our vision of what Freshly Baked was going to be. And at the heart of that conversation, that pitch was the culture on how we wanted to treat people, who we wanted to be involved. We've turned down money too from investors that just didn't. Not all money is your money. We found that out very quick too. So just all around, if getting people to believe in you, but you have to walk the walk, and that's important. Like, you can't just there's a lot of lip service out here. I've gotten a lot of lip service from people that are in the industry, like that we're going to carry your product, we want to help you. I mean, to me, actions speak louder than words. None of that means anything to me. Actions are 100%. Even at work, any CEO can come in and I have a CEO, I have a COO. Jenny and I are more on the board, and we want to direct. Any CEO can come in and tell their employees anything they want to hear to make everything okay. I mean, that could mean a big firings coming down the line. That doesn't mean anything, but actions speak louder than words. So actions is huge to me. So in the industry, some of my best partners and people that I trust in the cannabis space now are people that have shown actions and not just words. And that's super important to back it up.
Yeah, the consistency of accountability too, and like your personal growth, and your investing into your own well-being as well as a leader, I hope is something that hopefully is also being considered and or was as part of your service from I don't know if it was part of your training from like a mind, body, and soul perspective to like keep it in check, and so you could be present and perform your duties and fulfill the mission that you were assigned.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything that I've faced so far, and this hasn't been easy, and Jenny would say the same, that has been as difficult as, being 21 years old in a war with 30 people under me. This isn't the same. There's never life or death. We've had people in the facility that have dropped a dab, like this, and shattered on the ground, and like literally like wanted to start crying, because that's what happens at other places. And Jenny and I are like, this is not life or death, people. Is everyone safe? Is everyone okay? Like, that's the first thing. Like, we'll move on. She's dropped pans and gummies. I doesn't think there's no life or death here. So it's never that serious. So like the alarm bells are never like flying off at Freshly Baked. Like, there's always fires in business, but like it's not life or death. So I think, we go about our business and we treat things like that. So, people feel free and there's honesty flowing where they can make mistakes. They can come to us. They can talk to us. That's super important, because me as a leader, I can always grow too. Like I'm always growing too. Like I need to hear that feedback from you so I can grow, because I'm not perfect. Like I'm only doing my best as well. So we need to hear that feedback. So the honesty is super important.
Yeah, it's like the check yourself before you wreck yourself song. Like it's so,
Sure.
that sense of awareness is such an amazing quality of a leader, and something that I would say also my co-host Stephen and colleague and business partner also carries that quality. So it's wonderful to see as part of really the DNA and veterans that seems to really be a part of that, the way that you are as a human being, not just
I
as
can hear that from Ellen too. Like when you hear Ellen talking, like she's a
yeah.
boss. Like she's a boss. Like you can hear her. Like she has all those same lessons and those core values that she had from the military that were kind of all inside of us. And they find them in there and they chip away and they bring them out. And you can see it in her too. Like that, that's one of the things that we get. That's why it's important to hire veterans, to give us a chance. So I'm not fancy. I don't have a fancy degree. I don't have that, but I have life experience. And I will give you my 200% every single time. Like that's how it's going to be. It's always going to be 100% every single time. But I will be honest with my capabilities too. And I think that's probably served her well as well.
No doubt. Ellen, like, please do share a little bit of kind of the challenges or the successes that has been nurtured or developed and was able to kind of bring in from your experience of training. And I'm just thinking from leadership development for veterans that weren't taking care, had high blood pressure, high cholesterol, different conditions where nutrition was like major part, and kind of reducing, I would say, the stigma on like the foo-foo-ness of taking care of yourself from a nutritional aspect, and kind of how you were able to maybe apply that with like the stigma around cannabis, and not just here in Mass.
Well, thank you for that. So I think, a big part of that is just being able to have a conversation, and like Phil was saying, being able to lead by example and take responsibilities for whatever it is you do. So especially when it comes to advocacy work and legislative change and getting people informed, you have to be a leader. You have to step up and you have to say, hey, I am taking, an almost authoritative role on this, where I'm going to give you the information and try to make it as palatable as possible, so you're able to, utilize it as best you can for what you need it for, and then use it accordingly for whatever purpose that serves. So, for Phil, like literally you're breaking down like verbatim exactly what the regulations are for a micro business, because I teach the responsible vendor training. And I'm like, oh my God, that's on my slide where you're talking about the different square footage and that you can't get more than 2,000 pounds a year. I'm like, check, check, check. Like that attention to detail never stops and never goes away. And I think like those that put in that attention to detail get further, because that's what it takes to like keep a business going. And especially with like the two of us being sole proprietors or being a small startup business, it's those long hours, it's that hard work, it's the drive, it's falling flat on your face and going, my face really fucking hurts, and then getting up and continuing to work, but my face hurts. But like it's okay, because like somebody else should be like, hey, there's a hole there, you're gonna fall on your face, don't do that. So you help the next person zig around it, and then you're just gonna keep on going. So as time goes on, you end up having like calluses in the best way. So that way, next time you fall, you don't fall on your face, you fall on your hands, and then you get up and then you keep moving. And then that's what it's about, because this is an industry that hasn't been created yet. So we need people that are visionaries and that are leaders and that remember what their core values were: integrity first, service before self, excellence in all we do. I don't know how to do it any other way. So with veterans, there's an absolute community there as well. So finding a community, there's networks and resources for veterans, for women, for PTSD, for those that are looking for cannabis education. And for myself being an educator, one of the largest things I like to do is talk about the importance of corporate responsibility for those that find themselves in a position where, eventually my students are going to start off possibly entry level, but eventually they will be the leaders and the person doing the hiring. So how do they want to carry themselves in a way that's people want to emulate them and that they are the example in the room? So, and then having, them have inclusion and veterans and diversity embedded in them from the education that they've received. So that way, when they're in those positions and they're like, hey, how is our hardship program? Could we do better for our veteran population? Could we do more for our pediatrics? Could we do more for our geriatrics? Could we do more for inclusion, and so on and so forth? Like, Phil, I don't know if your ears were ringing. About an hour ago, I was on another panel and we were talking about, it was for EON, Equitable Opportunities Now here in Massachusetts. And Freshly Baked came up and we were talking about, you're going to be a speaker for that. So you'll find that with the veteran community, there's a lot of crossover because, he's a veteran who cares about diversity. I'm a veteran who cares about diversity. So, you'll find with veterans, we're looking to, take care of our community, but everybody as well. So that's pretty cool.
Definitely. And Stephen will say that veterans are one of the most diverse segments of society here in the States. I mean, they cover all walks of life with all sexual preferences, socioeconomic status, religion, like all sorts of immigrants. I mean, it's a very spans all walks of life. So I very much resonate. It's very much the truth. So, well, thank you for sharing that, Ellen. And I would like to kind of get into our finito question and direct it to the both of you. So feel free, whomever wants to kind of chime in. But I'm curious what your feedback has been from other companies and what they're saying the benefits are of working to both veteran owned, or if they're looking to hire veteran staff, both plant touching and ancillary. So what are what's some of the feedback that you're getting from colleagues and other business owners and or peers when they're like, hey, how do we engage more with the veteran community? How do we find them? How do we nurture that real relationship? Don't just show up and have a job fair and be like, hey, we're this, and then peace out, but rather cultivate and nurture a long-term conversation and relationship with these veteran-centric communities.
I think I'll go. I think just locally here, I'm a member of the VFW, Veterans of Foreign Wars, and I know I've been spreading the word myself to folks just to reach out to those local organizations because there are folks there every day that could use help, especially with jobs. And I think that's important, but not only getting them in the door with jobs, but that also other level of understanding that they are veterans and trying to, maybe go a little, that one step further. And, someone's calling out, here and there, why are they calling out? Can we help them? Can we take that a step further with them? So, Freshly Baked works closely with the VFW, volunteering, not only monetary support, but also we're trying to hire veterans through there. So just any local organizations you get involved with, because there are veterans out there that, reach out to us all the time that are looking for work. And it's not that they can't do the work, but some of us just need a little extra of a hand. Like we just need a little extra, you know what I mean? And if we can have some more companies that can care a little bit more, less about the bottom line and more about their people, I think we'll see veterans, and Ellen, this, the suicide rate is high. It's higher. Yeah. I've been to some pretty dark places since I got out. So I totally understand. And I think a lot of that can stem from work. And if we just can give us a little bit extra, just a little bit more attention, I think it can go a long way. So please reach out to your local organizations, like right around your own city and town. And there's folks that need a hand there.
Awesome. Yeah, because I know in Massachusetts, we have what's known as VSOs, Veteran Service Officers, for every single town. And that is also a resource for anyone in Massachusetts that's looking for that. And then, I don't know if Taunton's a part of Bristol County, which I think it is, but there's also like Bristol County Veteran Services. So there's by town or municipality, and then by county, and then other, I'm not sure if Easter Sales is also a good resource that veterans might also have access to, but but that's really helpful for folks to make a sincere effort to like, if you're making an effort to be a part of your local chamber of commerce, like absolutely apply the same amount of time and resources to build that relationship. So I think within the veteran community, it's not like you just like come in and come out. It's important to actually be consistent and present and listen and learn and position folks of veteran service in a space that they feel welcomed, encouraged, and can be nurtured and enriched to be a very valuable part of the whole brand and the whole operation. So yeah, I love that. Thank you for that, Phillip. Ellen, what do you got? What do you think?
I was thinking, I'm gonna definitely echo a lot of what Phillip said. I think that's important. And with veterans, especially with hiring veterans, a lot of people realize that that mentality didn't leave. So they come in early, they stay late, they have a lot of attention to detail. They have a lot of solution-based thinking, which is very important. But just remembering, sometimes for veterans, it can be hard, especially veterans that are service connected. So just being mindful of, you might have somebody that is, getting back into the workforce or things like that. So you want to have, like you were saying, opportunities that allow for like entry level or allow people to succeed and thrive with whatever barriers they might be facing. So I think that open-mindedness is really important. And with veterans and having genuine ways to give back, not just on November when November 11th, when Veterans Day comes around. It's like, thank you for your service. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And not that that's very important, but what's hard is those same state representatives that say thank you for your service on November 11th, Veterans Day. If you go November 12th and say, hey, I'm trying to get post-traumatic stress disorder added to the list of qualifying conditions, they're like, thank you, because yesterday we said thank you. Bye. And I'm like, no, like I like you said you would help. And it's a lot of that lip service, like Phillip was talking about. And it's, you end up learning what state representatives will help you, end up learning who shows up to testify. And I think like building that network is very important. And as far as like resources, the best resources, I love that Phillip said he has those conversations. You're one of the best resources. Have those conversations, be that person that other people can go to, especially since with your micro business is a legacy market. I might work that into my responsible vendor training, because it's true. It's those smaller businesses, it's those mom and pops that make a difference. So being an educated consumer is going to also, make all of the difference in the world.
An educated regulator, an educated municipal officer, or like some like you're making these like pivotal decisions on what it means to have responsible access to this plant. Like, my goodness, will you please watch Dr. Dustin Sulak or Dr. Stacy Gruber or Dr. Sue Sisley, like Dr. Peter Grinspoon, Dr. Lester, like learn about this plant and its history here in the States too, my Lord. So
and those are all locals too. Like Dr. Stacy Gruber is doing Harvard studies. Like Dr. Sulak is in Maine. Like these people are not like hard to, and they're very generous with their time and their knowledge. So I do think it's important to realize who you can, ping for information and who can help us move this moving forward. Massachusetts is one of the few states. There are more states that have post-traumatic stress disorder as a qualifying condition than don't. And Massachusetts is one of the states that don't. And that's something that, we need to advocate in support of changing, because we need to destigmatize post-traumatic stress disorder and cannabis use, as well as opiate disorder and cannabis use. These are serious conversations. We're losing 22 veterans a day to suicide. And those are the veterans that are, clearly committing suicide. Those do not include veterans that are overdosing from being overprescribed. And that is a completely different, startling demographic. So we really have a demographic, a small portion of the population, 7% of the population that needs help. And I think that we're definitely the ones to roll up our sleeves and help them and bring awareness to any issues, for sure.
True. And I also want to acknowledge as part, so working locally, thinking locally, like Phillip and Freshly Baked is doing, and access to informing and inviting and creating a belonging environment for veterans, but also your work, Ellen, with on the stage, on the mic, letting folks know the success in your journey so far with your endeavors with the plant and as a veteran yourself. So I commend you both and honor the work that you both have done and anyone that supported you as well along this process, which brings me to our final little segment of the show where we get to, and for both of you is just to shout out either a company, an organization, either in the cannabis or wellness space that you believe is making a difference or helping to support people and veterans looking for relief with this sacred plant.
Well, I'll give a shout out just to Freshly Baked. I mean, that's what we're trying to do right now. But I think when it comes, I just wanted to give a quick shout out though to equity too, because veterans fall into this category as well. And I think one of my boys from Roland Relief, Devin Alexander, he's really out there. He really is. Devin's out there, and he's really speaking about equity, and he's all over the place. And it's been super important. And I think that's just going to help the veterans too. More of us get into the industry, and like Ellen was saying, there are stigmas there still. And I feel like the more I can talk about PTSD and my cannabis use, it will help. But also speak to it as a veteran, especially. And that let other veterans know that it's okay. Like it is okay. Like if it's helping you, like it's okay. I was told for a long time that it wasn't helping me, from loved ones, from doctors, that it wasn't helping you. It wasn't helping you. And the whole time I knew it was, until I was just like, that's enough. And I just committed to it. And it's really been a game changer. So I'll leave with that.
Thank you, Phillip.
And for myself, I'd like to give a shout out to the Homegrown Healthcare of Maine. They're in Lewiston, Maine. It's Catherine and Glenn Lewis. And actually, I guess it's Winthrop, Maine, but it's all the way. You're closer to the Canadian border than anything else. And the point of that is they go out of their way to hold classes for patients, and they hold free classes for veterans. So sometimes I'll go up there and donate my time and teach a class on edibles or hash or different things like that. And, it's always about finding ways for veterans to give back to veterans. So if you're a veteran in the industry thinking of, hey, is there a discount program that we could enact? Is there a way that we could hold free classes, not just November 11th, but throughout the year to make sure that we're impactful? Doctors' offices giving out free cannabis recommendations. Those are all different things that are important as well. If you're in any part of the industry thinking about, how can I be equitable? How can I be inclusive? How can I, give back to different demographics of people in need, from veterans, geriatrics, pediatrics, and everything in between. So, find ways to give back and be impactful. And then your quote behind you, I think, is really amazing, Phillip. I've been reading it. And it says, the meaning of life is to find your gift, and the purpose of life is to give it away. And that's perfect for me. So
I give Jenny credit. That is right. It's wonderful, but it is her. But
so she's here in spirit.
There's the moon right there, Sam.
That's so beautiful. Really sharing your gifts and letting that shine. That is like what this experience of life is about. So I'm so happy that we're ending this show on that note. This has been incredibly amazing and an enlightening conversation. I hope that for veterans or families of veterans and or the community that supports veterans have been inspired to connect with Ellen and Phillip offline, support their work, and also be open to support your fellow veterans and or their family members that are getting into this space, either plant touching or ancillary, because there's plenty of room and we need no assholes or less assholes or minimal assholes in this space that is informed. They care about the plant, they care about the people, they care about this planet, they care about their teams. Like that is, yeah, we need more of that. So if you're feeling connected with that, please consider sharing this episode with someone that you love within that community. And it's been an absolute pleasure learning about entrepreneurship and how service members can contribute to this maturing industry. We appreciate you so much, and speaking for our co-host Stephen here. And lastly, just please let the viewers know how they can connect with you both. Shameless plug, Ellen, ladies first.
Oh my gosh, well, thank you so much. Ellen Brown from Sensemilla Seminars. I'm a sole proprietor, so anytime you engage with the social media, whether it's on Facebook or Instagram, it'll be myself, or you can just reach out to Ellen Brown. And my last name is Ellen Brown, so I jokingly go by Farmer Brown. So I'm Ellen Farmer Brown on Instagram.
Right, and she's also on YouTube. So Sensemilla
Seminars, yeah.
Great content. She gets to share a bit of her, life, really, truly, and everything that she's doing here, both in Massachusetts and collectively around, as we get to go more and more around. So I just wanted to absolutely shout that out for folks who are watching this on YouTube. Click on there, Sensemilla Seminars. So
yes, ma'am.
Phillip, let's do it.
Yeah, I mean, Freshly Baked is on all social media. If you just Google Freshly Baked Company at this point, will come up. If you're in Bristol County, I mean, I think you're in Mansfield, and we're over there every day. We have plenty of deliveries in Mansfield all the time. So if you want to go to freshlybakeddelivery.com, you can always go to our online menu, put in an order. We'll be right. We'll come right to your door. But if you want to reach out to me directly, a veteran, equity, Phillip at freshlybakedcompany.com. You can reach out to me directly. I try to get back to everyone that reaches out to me. If it's not right away, give me time. Obviously, there's a lot going on, but I do care, and I will get back to you.
Great. And then Freshly Baked on IG, on Facebook. So everyone, please make sure you connect, engage, share, support. That does take literally 15 seconds. So please consider all of this does help us as smaller operators and entrepreneurs. And I say us like as a veteran community, you all, and everything that you're doing. So please consider doing that. Amazing. Thank you so much. Find out more about the work Stephen and I do at Joint Venture and Co. by visit jointvco.com. And if you are a company, organization, or social initiative in need of any sort of brand and market development and are in alignment with our shared values and mission of this show, which is inclusive of wellness, cannabis, and veterans, please don't hesitate to reach out to us at jointvco.com. So thanks for being here. This has been a Joint Venture and Co show. Join us next month on Wednesday at 8 p.m. We'll be talking about cannabis patient care. And this first episode, which was about post-traumatic stress to post-traumatic growth. So I'll leave you all with that. Muito obrigada. Adios. Thank you, everyone.